Greetings to our expats and international viewers. It is time once again for our English News Edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting you a translated version of the top Albanian news stories. Speaking at a presentation of the government's results in the drug war, the U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu said that both the majority and the opposition are responsible for the crime in the country. He made the following statement. The majority and the opposition have frequently accused one another of having ties with the criminal world. The fight against crime must be above the political parties. Albania needs all of its leaders to work together and fight against criminals, traffickers, and corrupted officials. Albania will have the support of the United States in this historic battle, declared the ambassador. Immediately after the statements of Mr. Liu, Prime Minister Rama responded, saying that he does not like this blaming of both parties for the criminal situation in Albania. Mr. Rama said, "This is an operation that has affected some colossal interests. I can understand partners who blame both parties, but this is a method that I do not like. If we follow the same line of logic, what can you say about interior ministers who today claim to be angels of the anti-drug war?" The Italian and U.S. ambassadors both praised the achievements of the state police so far in their fight against drug trafficking. Mr. Liu declared that the cultivation of narcotics in our country has declined, and for this reason, he thanked the state police. The fight against organized crime and drugs has made a huge step through this air operation with the Guardia di Finanza and the state police, he said. The data collected this year shows the extraordinary progress that has been made in eliminating the drugs in Lazarat and in new cultivating areas. We believe that the marijuana cultivation in Albania is much lower, said the ambassador. The Italian ambassador had this to say, "From the statistics, we see that there has been significant reduction of cultivated plots of cannabis. Air surveillance discovered 1,350 plots, and the police identified and destroyed them." The Interior Minister Saimir Tahiri gave some stats highlighting the achievements of the police. There were 323 hectares of cannabis identified by the Guardia di Finanza in 2013, when the Democratic Party was in power. In 2015, they have verified only 44 hectares, 8 times less than in 2013. The police have destroyed 99.2% of the identified plots, and the number of criminals brought to justice is higher than the total in the 8 years of the Democratic Party, Mr. Tahiri declared. The opposition leader Lulzim Basha has reacted to the results released by the government in their fight against the drug trafficking. After the government presented the results, the Democratic chairman declared that they were nothing but empty propaganda and the government's efforts to cover up the truth. Traffickers are continuing with their activities, the drug plantations are getting bigger, and the properties are guarded by the gangs related to the Minister of Interior, Basha stated. He went on to say that the figures have been worse since the left-wing party came into power and appointed criminals to the state police. Basha repeated his belief that decriminalization is the first step toward cleaning up the political class and cutting its ties with crime. In the midst of the discussion over the opposition's decriminalization draft, the government has adopted a bill of its own. The bill does not include the proposals of the Democrats, like fingerprinting and drug testing elected officials. Additionally, the bill will still allow convicted individuals to run for public office as long as they were sentenced to less than 2 years in prison. In these conditions, the activities of the Decriminalization Commission are in question, and consensus now seems far away. By this move, the majority members have made it clear to the opposition that they do not intend to accept suggestions or to reach consensus. They have already made their own law. This unexpected turning point in the process of drafting a law undoes the work of the Commission and the efforts of the opposition in this process. The U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu made the comparison today that the Albanian justice system is like that of Pakistan. Present at the Civil Forum on the Justice Reform, Ambassador Liu said that corrupt judges and politicians must not be allowed to prevail. "We are concerned about corrupt judges, politicians, and criminals," he said, "and about a system in which the rich can purchase their own justice. The fight for the justice reform has just begun, and people with integrity believe in this fight. Corrupt judges, prosecutors, and politicians will reject this reform, but we must not allow them to win. This is the most important reform since the fall of communism, said the U.S. ambassador. The German ambassador Hoffmann also spoke about the justice reform, reminding the Albanian government that the reform is a condition for integration into the EU. Ambassador Hoffmann said that Albania's problems with justice are reflected in the lack of foreign investments in the country. Many laws need to be modified, he said. I hope you find a way to rid the system of the corrupt. The EU plays an important role in this reform, and if you miss this opportunity, you will miss it for the next 10 years. Everyone must contribute. The majority and the opposition must sit and discuss the problems, said Ambassador Hoffmann. The director of the forum, former President Alfred Moisiu, said that the system needs to be scanned in order to find the real problems and intervene in a timely manner. He suggested that the president should be elected by popular vote and asked for this change to be included with the other constitutional changes. At a meeting on the economy and the banking system, Prime Minister Rama spoke about the necessity of the justice reform, saying that corrupted justice hinders the country's economic progress. Mr. Rama said that cleaning up the system will allow the banks to execute orders for seizing collateral properties and release the banks from the grip of corrupt justice. He said that this will be an important step for unblocking the bank loans and mentioned a series of reforms that would help the economy. We are determined to complete the justice reform. You should be convinced of our determination. We believe that without it, Albania's economy and society will lose great opportunities. We will soon send a draft law on bankruptcy to the parliament and a law on the registration of real estate. I am convinced that we will decrease the level of bad loans, said Prime Minister Rama. The governor of the Bank of Albania, Sejko, declared that the bad loans in July have decreased by 4% and that bad lending has not damaged the banking system, even though it remains prevalent. Mr. Sejko declared that the bad loans have affected lending, but that the quality of credit has been improved. Other economic experts are saying that the lending situation also has to do with the economy being stagnant. The United States of Mexico is celebrating their 205th Independence Day. The important milestone was celebrated today in a special ceremony in Mexico City. President Nieto himself presided over the grand celebrations, commemorating Mexico's Independence Day. Every September 15th at 11 p.m., the president rings the bell at the National Palace in Mexico City, proclaiming Viva Mexico 3 times before waving the Mexican flag. 205 years ago, on September 16th of 1810, Mexico gained its independence from Spain. Like every year, the citizens of Mexico celebrate what they call El Grito on September 15th in the memory of Father Miguel Hidalgo, who inspired his followers to a revolt in a small village called Dolores. Diplomatic consuls worldwide celebrated the independence today and sent their congratulations to the Mexican president. The Albanian consul of Mexico, Julian Droci, joined in the celebrations by sending a congratulatory message to President Nieto, with whom he had the opportunity to meet in person. The note reads, "The Honorary Consul of the United States of Mexico in Albania, Mr. Julian Droci, wholeheartedly conveys his best wishes for the 2005th anniversary of independence, hoping for more growth, prosperity, and happiness for all Mexican citizens wherever they are." With more than 120 million people, Mexico is the 13th largest country in the world and one of the most desirable tourist destinations. Just last year, more than 41 million vacationers visited the resorts and natural beauties of Mexico. The country boasts one of the largest economies in the world and 10th in oil production. According to the forecast of Goldman Sachs, in 2050, Mexico may be the 5th largest economy globally. That concludes our edition for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English. Thanks, and have a great evening.